How you doing?
Good. Welcome to our third episode.
Oh, is this our third?
Episode 3.
Oh, I can't believe we made it through two. Is
Seriously.
anybody listening to us?
Uh-huh. We got some listeners.
Oh, good. That's perfect.
I mean, a little is better than none.
Yeah. I hope we end up with more listeners.
I do too.
So, because this is kind of fun.
It is. And I want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So,
You got to start off slow.
yep, you gotta start somewhere.
Yes, you do. So, who are we doing today? So, before we start, she would not tell me who we were doing today. So this is in the Pacific Northwest. She says I probably won't know who it is.
Because I'm taking you back to 1961.
Oh my God.
We're going to wow, we got all three.
We got all three of our dogs who think that it's time to be rubbed.
Got pets
I
going everywhere.
have Ruby on this side, and I have Max between us, and then we have the bruiser Artie on the other side.
Yep. All of them are demanding our attention.
They all want pets.
So, we're doing Ann Marie Burr.
Burr.
Burr. Burr.
Burr.
Burr.
Okay.
So, we're going to do ages. We're gonna do the ages of the kids because
Okay.
it's a kid. This is a kid. So this is another unsolved case.
Okay.
So you have Anne, who was 8 years old at the time. She had a younger sister named Julie, who was 14 months younger than her.
Okay.
A brother named Greg, who was 5 years old, and a younger sister named Mary, who was 3 years old.
Okay.
So this takes place over Labor Day weekend, 1961.
I wasn't even born then.
No. But when you look up the most shocking cases in Washington state, this is one of them, apparently. One of the top cold cases.
Oh. Okay. Out of what city?
Tacoma.
Okay.
So we're going to Tacoma.
Yeah. Tacoma is south of Seattle. And we're actually in between Seattle and Tacoma. We're a little inland. We're east of them.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to the day before her disappearance. So she disappeared in the early hours of August 31st, 1961.
Okay.
So the day before her disappearance, she spent the day playing in the neighborhood with her siblings and
back then it was safe.
And friends. Yep. She was looking forward to the upcoming school year when she would start third grade. Anne had been invited to a sleepover, but her mom had said no because she wanted the kids back doing their back to school schedule.
Yes. No, I can understand that.
Yeah. Oh, I totally understand that. I didn't really ever have to get back into a schedule because
no. Nope. The only person that had to get into a back to school schedule was Peyton's oldest sister, where we forced her to go to bed at 9 o'clock every day because she wouldn't get up in the morning.
She wasn't friendly in the morning.
No, she was awful.
So, okay. So we are now at the night of her disappearance.
Okay.
So their sleeping arrangements were a little bit different this night.
Okay.
So you had Greg and Julie, who were in the basement spending their last night.
Okay, a lot of these houses here are split level, yes, which means you come in and there's stairs going up and stairs going down. And downstairs is usually a finished basement with like bedrooms, a bathroom, a laundry room, things like that. And upstairs is where the dining room, the kitchen, the living room, bedrooms, and bathrooms. So when we say basement, we don't mean cement.
Like a Home Alone basement. We don't mean that.
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
So, Greg and Julie were down in the basement, spending the last night in their fort that they had built during the summer. Their mom had been like, okay, last night, yes, and then you need to disassemble it and get it back to sleeping in bed. So, Julie and Anne usually shared a room. But that night, Mary moved into Anne's room to sleep with her.
Okay.
So, their mom, Beverly. So, mom's name is Beverly. Dad's name is Dan. Oh my God. I want to say it's Dan. No, it's Dawn. It is Dawn. I was right.
Yeah, we tried very hard to get our facts straight.
She told the police that she had been exhausted from the warm weather. It had been unusually warm in Washington.
Yeah.
At the time.
Anything over 80, they consider a heat wave.
Back then it was 70.
Yeah. Back then it was 70. Seriously. Like today, I think is 82. And everybody has their air conditioner on, people that have air conditioning, and are wearing shorts and tank tops and dying.
It is 86.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's 86.
It is 86 with a high of 89 coming at 5 p.m.
Yes. So take my word for it. We have air conditioning. It is on at 72 degrees.
Mm-hmm. And she hadn't, her mom hadn't been sleeping well for a while leading up to this.
Okay.
What is your dog doing?
Yours is right behind me.
So, for a couple weeks, both Beverly and her husband had thought they were hearing noises in the yard at night.
Oh, that definitely wouldn't let me sleep.
Right. So on August 30th,
we have dogs. There's something in our yard at night. Our dogs let us know.
So August 30th, around 11 p.m., they began their nighttime routine of locking up the house. Dawn put Barney, which is Ann's black cocker spaniel, on the landing between the kitchen and the back door. And Beverly had put the chain lock on the front door. So, however, a living room window was open a couple of inches so the wires to the TV antenna on the roof could snake through, which was extremely common.
Yes.
No one thought anything of it.
Okay. So back in 61, you guys, how many of you locked your doors? But, people did not lock their doors.
No. I mean, says the person who wouldn't let me leave the cul-de-sac on my own until I was like 12.
I know. And we live way in the far back of a track. And I still wouldn't let her leave the cul-de-sac. And this was just 20-something years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was very protective.
So that night, a storm had blown through town and caused trees to fall and power outages across several neighborhoods. So around 5 a.m., Beverly woke up and something had compelled her to check on her children. Just that, sixth sense that, parents have.
Yes, you do. If you're a parent, you know what that feeling is.
So she first checked on Julie and Greg, who were still asleep in the basement. She proceeded to Ann's room. Ann's bed was empty. So she had quickly proceeded to the first floor in hope of Ann being there. Thinking she'd gotten up to go to the bathroom, gone to the kitchen to get something to drink, anything like that. She found that the normally cracked window was wide open and the latch on the door was undone with the door left wide open. She ran to nearby houses to ask if anyone had seen Ann. No one had. She looked around the outside of the house and found a garden stool beneath the open living room window on the side of the house. She woke Dawn and they called the police.
1961.
Uh-huh.
Were people even snatching children then?
Yeah, and I will mention another case that's very famous here that I learned about. And I knew about, but never actually looked into.
I guess I didn't even think about it.
So what was interesting was the early edition of the Tacoma News Tribune. It mostly focusing on the damages of the storm. It did have a brief acknowledgement of her disappearance, but it claimed that it was believed that she was possibly a victim of amnesia.
So they thought she got out and was walking around with amnesia. Now, how old was she?
8.
And nobody would call the police if they saw an 8-year-old in their PJs walking around.
Possibly disoriented,
lost.
Yeah.
Okay. So who thought this?
That is what the Tacoma News Tribune claimed.
Okay, the Tacoma News Tribune is still in business, which with reporting like that, in fact, didn't my father work for the Tacoma News Tribune as a printer?
Grandpa?
Yeah, I think he did.
I think so. So, police spent a few days camped out in the basement of their house waiting for a ransom call, as they do. Ransom
if
demand.
they were in 1961, if they were living in Tacoma and they had a split level home, they probably had some money.
And yeah, that demand would never come. So the second edition of the Tribune fully featured the story and a picture of her.
So the first one, the day after, said she had amnesia.
Yeah. Thinking that she got injured in the storm somehow.
Yeah, the tree went through her window, and
or she climbed out the window and fell. But there was a garden stool.
Yeah, so how did she get? Or one of her friends kidnapped her, and they both had amnesia and were running around Tacoma?
Yeah.
Take my word for it. In Tacoma, which is not, it depends on the area of Tacoma. Okay, maybe not. If somebody saw, a police officer saw an 8-year-old child running around in their nightgown, any person in their nightgown, they would have been stopped.
Look what happened at the Wendy's.
Yes.
A few months ago.
Yes. Tacoma hasn't always had the best reputation. There are better areas of Tacoma now. Okay, stop that look. There are some. We don't want to insult all of Tacoma. We call it Tacoma aroma. Because of the smell there.
It's mostly weed now.
Okay, but it used to be the paper mills.
Yeah. It used to be the smell from the paper mills and the port.
Yeah, it was, I mean, you could drive from Seattle into Tacoma, and before you got to Tacoma, you could smell it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, so let's go back to this poor little girl who has amnesia.
Let's go over the history of the Burr family.
Okay.
Because it's an interesting one.
Okay.
So you got Beverly. She grew up in Tacoma as the daughter of a grocery store owner.
Okay. So they had money.
Mm-hmm. So she met her husband when they were both students at the University of Washington, and they were married in the summer of 1951.
Uh-huh.
So Beverly had been living in one of her father's cabins on Fox Island.
Okay. So my parents used to live on
Fox Island.
It's very expensive. So my parents used to live right by the yacht club, and it's kind of it's maybe older homes. My parents' home wasn't built in the 60s. But back then, I don't know how expensive it is, but now it's very expensive.
Uh-huh. So she spent that time as a teacher. She was a teacher,
okay,
which she greatly disliked. Her ultimate goal, she wanted to be a journalist. That's what Beverly ultimately wanted to be.
Okay.
So Dawn and Beverly spent their first year of marriage in Oregon doing the logging industry.
Okay, so what did Dawn do when she married him? Okay.
He became a civilian employee at Camp Murray when they settled in Tacoma.
Okay. So Camp Murray is the big base here.
One of the big bases.
One of the big bases.
Because you also have Joint Base Lewis McChord.
Yes. It is a very large base.
They were members of St. Patrick's Parish in North Tacoma, and Beverly explained that her faith wavered and vanished around the same time Ann did.
Okay.
So
I'm a Christian, and Peyton is not, which is, to me, my greatest failure. But I have not ever lost a child, so I don't know how bad my faith would have been tested had one of my girls disappeared. I would like to believe that I could get through it, but I don't know.
So keep in mind this description. as I go through the case.
Okay.
So at the time, North Tacoma was a modest neighborhood with tidy houses. That's literally how they were described.
Okay.
The Burr house was a brick English bungalow built in 1934.
Okay, so it wasn't a split level, but it did have a finished basement.
No, it was a split level.
Was it a split level?
It was a split level.
Okay.
It had a landing and everything between the front door and the kitchen.
Okay.
There was a small orchard near a neighbor's house that was dense with apple trees and thick rows of raspberry bushes. At the end of the street were open ditches 30 feet deep, dug for a city sewer project.
Okay.
So there's a lot going on. So keep all this in mind. Beverly would later admit that she regretted teaching her children that the world was safe. Like many Tacoma families, she didn't know the city's police reports were full of reports, as police called them, full of sex perverts, expeditionists, sex oddballs, psychos, crackpots, half-wits, queers, and women with lesbian tendencies.
Okay. So we talked about this on a previous one about our current, when a sexual, somebody that is on the register list, they release a flyer with what a stage he is, like 1, 2, or 3.
What his crimes were.
What he was convicted of.
I'm sorry, because we have gotten women.
Yes, it's women too. I know somebody who was in prison for rape of, I think she was 37 and he was 16. You also must remember the Letourneau, what's her name? Mary Kay Letourneau, who ended up, when she finally got out, she married him.
Yes.
But it started when he was 12 and she was 30, and they had children together, and she had 4 children with her husband at the time. It was crazy. But so we received these bulletins with the picture, if they're likely to offend, where they live, not their exact address,
the street,
but the street they live on.
Oh yeah.
And you'll see them posted in businesses.
Uh-huh.
Our groomer used to post them everywhere. She'd go, "Did you ever see this guy?" I mean, literally.
I forgot about that.
She
knew everything.
She knew everything.
She knew everything that was happening around us.
Yes, everything. And she only lived about half a mile from us, because we live up on a hill, with schools and everything like that. And she lived halfway down the hill. So there are halfway houses at the bottom of the hill that are by the high schools. So go ahead.
So you have mom on this hand that trusts everybody.
Yes.
You have dad on the other who trusted hardly anybody.
Oh.
Especially his neighbors. Specifically, there's specifically 2. Okay? One was the woman who lived across the street. Want to know why?
She was a lesbian.
Nope. So keep this in mind. This was 1961.
Okay, so she was a divorcee.
No.
What was it?
She had spent time in an insane asylum after she gave birth to a mixed-race baby.
Oh my God, 1961. How terrible.
Another neighbor included a man who liked to sunbathe nude in the backyard.
And how did he know he was nude? Did he look over the fence?
I don't know. The neighborhood children visited him regularly because he gave them candy. He was not the only interesting person in the neighborhood. So just before Labor Day weekend, neighbors had noticed a man in the neighborhood selling cookware, which they found strange because he had no pots or pans. The morning paper was filled with news of the Soviet Union and the U.S. testing nuclear weapons. One man was also capitalizing on those fears and going door to door selling plans for basement bomb shelters.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
I guess their kids would have been out of the basement had they bought a bomb shelter.
Yeah.
Oh
totally.
My God.
So for a little while, there was a question on if the kidnappers confused the victims. Because There was another Donald Burr. So that's his name. That's his dad's name is Donald Burr. In Tacoma, who had a lot of money and had a daughter roughly the same age as Ann. So this Donald Burr.
So they could have seen the newspaper, realized they took the wrong Ann, and gotten rid of her because they knew the parents couldn't pay the ransom.
So this Donald Burr was an architect. Who lived in Lakewood, which is very close to Tacoma.
Yeah, it's just a little south of Lakewood. It's actually between Tacoma and the base we were talking about.
Joint Base Lewis McChord.
Yeah.
So he had a messy divorce from Deborah's, that's his daughter's name, her mother. Liz led police to question if Deborah had been the intended kidnap victim and if the wrong girl had been taken in the custody dispute.
Oh. That's interesting.
So, police arrived quickly and interviewed everyone in the house, including the children, which, mind you, they are 14 months younger, so that would make her, what, 7, 6, 7?
Yeah, but...
7, 5, and 3. So they're young.
Well, what's her name? Smart was kidnapped out of her bedroom when her sister was there.
Yeah.
And so, the other children, they're terrorized. They're, even if they saw the person that took them, even if they recognize them, they're not going to say until they feel safe or,
After they answered questions, Don had contacted his brother, started contacting the family. His brother, Raleigh, showed up, and they searched the neighborhood. There was construction going on at the University of Puget Sound, which was 2 blocks from their home. They looked through the 7 buildings, ditches, and excavated sites. Don had urged the police to search the campus after they saw a teenager kicking dirt into one of the ditches. Both men claimed that the teenager had a smirk on his face. Don said in later interviews that he would never forget the face of the teenager standing near an excavated site and watching them search for Ann. That comes back in.
Okay.
There is a theory about that, and I'm inclined to believe it.
Okay.
So I'm inclined to believe what the family has theorized much later on. So to get an idea of Tacoma, so Tacoma had a history, and they had a nickname that they wanted people to forget.
Like Tacoma Aroma?
Yes. It was called the Kidnap Capital of the West.
I did not know that.
So in 1935, 3 years after the Lindbergh kidnapping, George Weyerhaeuser, the 9-year-old son of Washington timber baron John Philip Weyerhaeuser.
Yeah, we have a Weyerhaeuser building not very far from us.
He was grabbed off a Tacoma street in broad daylight. His parents paid a $200,000 ransom.
Okay, the boy do you realize how much money that is?
Back in 1930
something?
So 1935.
So that probably would be 20 million? It's got to be a lot.
So he was released unharmed, and an arrest was made a few days later. Then 2 days after Christmas, 1936, a man broke into the mansion of Tacoma physician William Matson. The intruder held the 4 kids that were home at gunpoint before he grabbed their 10-year-old Charles Matson and ran. He left a ransom note for $28,000. 2 weeks later, near Everett, Charles was found naked in a snow-covered field, and that murder has never been solved.
So they killed him.
Yeah. So
why would he kidnap or hold ransom for 4 kids, only take one, and then kill him?
He waited 2 weeks. Actually, I can't say that. Like, they found him 2 weeks later, the kid.
Yeah.
So, and
I have never heard that Tacoma was the kidnap capital of the
I had
West.
not heard that either. So Beverly herself was 8 years old when Charles Matson was kidnapped and murdered. She used to ride past his house all the time. The Matson case was front page, and the Burr case
he
also.
He didn't have amnesia.
Right. Because the Burr case also stirred a similar media storm. This happened at a time when television was new. Como TV filmed the first interview with Beverly a few hours after Ann went missing.
Okay, Como is our NBC's affiliate?
I want to say yes.
Okay, I think it's our NBC.
So within hours, there were hundreds of police, National Guardsmen, and Fort Lewis soldiers scouring fields, abandoned buildings, gulches, sewers, garbage cans, and the many waterways. Yeah. It is.
We have Puget Sound. It is huge. It is freezing cold. Even in the middle of summer, it is cold, cold, cold. We also have lakes, a lot of them. We have Lake Washington. We have Union. We have a lot of lakes. So when you say waterways, there's a tons of waterways.
Mm-hmm. It is the largest search in Tacoma's history. They were searching for months with police crawling under houses, and the Public Works Department combed the sewer lines near the Burr house. You had scuba divers volunteering to look at the outfall pipe on Commencement Bay. Yeah. They had hoped that the rapids had pushed a body into the bay. That was sadly not the case. So that is thousands of people helping.
That is.
So 4 days after Ann vanished, law enforcement finally turned their attention to the University of Puget Sound. Sadly, they had waited too long. The ditches had been filled. Traffic was driving over the spot where Don thought his daughter's body was. So, something to note, Don never stopped believing that his daughter was buried at the University of Puget Sound. He has never stopped believing that. So we have detectives. We have two veteran detectives in this case. You had Tony Zatkovich and Ted Strand. Beverly had shared her story with the detectives, a story that has never changed. She did keep something to herself, though. Years later, she said, Beverly stated that when I first saw that window open, I knew I would never see her again. I knew I would never know what happened. It came to me just like that. It was a strong feeling. When they were searching, I thought, what's the point? I knew she was gone and we would never see her again.
Mm-hmm. So that's so sad when your mom is like giving up.
Yeah, she knew. Right away. She gave up instantly. So the police did try to speak to Mary since she was the last to see Ann, but she was too young to articulate what she possibly saw.
Yeah, and so it's just kind of like Elizabeth Smart. So her sister was in the room. Her sister saw her going, and I think she's actually the one who told them who it was.
So what was interesting, though, is that they had heard Barney barking, but they thought he was reacting to the storm happening outside. They also told police about the noises that they thought were coming from the yard. Neighbors told police about seeing a peeping Tom, but could not describe the person they saw.
A peeping Tom in the neighborhood or by their house?
Both.
Oh. I definitely would be interested if my neighbors told me I had a peeping Tom that's been in the neighborhood but also looked in my children's windows. I'd be like freaking out. I'd set the dogs on them.
Mm-hmm. So there was little to no evidence because a well-meaning relative, had dusted the house before the police were finishing processing the scene. They did, though, find a single red thread on a brick under the living room window. And the stool appeared to have a footprint on it that could have belonged to a teenager or a small man. There was no struggle or anything left behind, which left detectives left the detectives kind of scratching their heads, like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So this raised even more questions about her disappearance.
Yeah.
Several as, did Anne know whoever had come into the house? Had she encountered the man in the living room? Was it someone who knew the layout of the house and went directly to Anne's room? Or
because she was in her room, her sister was the one that came in and was visiting Anne's room, because her other sister she normally shared the room with is downstairs.
Mary used to sleep with the parents.
Okay.
And so the one night, Mary had wanted to be with her sister, so her mom had let her go. And so, or did she see someone she knew lean through the window and ask her to open the front door? And when she did, was she grabbed by him? Why didn't she make any noise, or did she?
Yeah, because the storm was that loud and the dog was barking, would you actually hear it?
Exactly. It's kind of the whole question, if a tree falls over in the woods and and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound?
Yes.
So thousands of people were questioned, with a majority of them also going through polygraphs. This was the biggest manhunt in Tacoma's history, and it still remains to be today. The leading suspects included a teenage neighbor, a boy who had flirted with Anne. Right, 8 years old.
8 years old, and he's flirting with her?
Yeah, and Anne's cousin, who grew up to be a convicted child molester. And then you would have several other suspects pop up over the years. So the main complication was a lack of evidence.
Yeah, no DNA, no nothing.
There was no witnesses, little physical evidence, no vehicle description, no fingerprints, no ransom demand,
no DNA,
no motive,
body,
no weapon, and no body. The only evidence was the footprint and the red thread. So they resorted to going around town to different stores to see if any of them sold the shoes that matched.
Well, that's pretty smart.
Mm-hmm.
Back then.
Yeah. It would take 3 years for a potential suspect to surface.
And who was that?
So, 1964. An auto parts salesman from Spokane had taken a 10-year-old girl from Tacoma on a ride around the Pacific Northwest in his Buick convertible. She was returned a few days later. The man shot himself as the FBI pounded at his door in Portland, Oregon. So they were never able to question him.
What about his shoe?
They didn't look. So in 1965, a prison inmate in Oklahoma wrote to the Burrs. He claimed that he and a friend who were picking beans on an Oregon farm took Anne when they were in Tacoma looking for work. The Burrs gave the letter to Tacoma police, and in 1967, the prisoner was flown to Oregon, and a crew dug in an Oregon field. A flood had changed the landscape of the farm in 1964. Nothing was found.
Oh, so... But how did he get into the house?
The window was open.
Yeah.
That's something you have to keep... That window was cracked open.
Yeah.
So, this is where the case takes a very interesting turn.
Okay.
What if I told you that Ann Marie Burr could have potentially been Ted Bundy's first victim?
What?
So, just go with me on this. And so 1961, Anne has disappeared. One of the neighbors is 14-year-old Ted Bundy, who was not a suspect due to his age. He had lived in this neighborhood since 1951. That was a nail against my foot. Since 1951, when his mother left Pennsylvania. He became known to Tacoma police a year or two later when he was reported as a peeping Tom and for shoplifting. This also has me assuming, of course, everyone knows who Ted Bundy is and how
he's a serial
most
killer.
Infamous serial killer.
Yeah, if you don't know who he is.
So, very brief. 1914, Ted Bundy had begun abducting, raping, and bludgeoning women to death, leaving their bodies in the mountains. This was done across several states. 36 murders were attributed to him, but an FBI agent who befriended Bundy said there was at least 50.
Yes. And Bundy, he was executed.
Well, yes. Bundy himself disagrees with that. He claims that there were hundreds. His final victim was in Florida where he was arrested in 1978. So we bring Bundy up because during his 11 years on death row, he gave multiple interviews with journalists, a psychiatrist, and researchers where he brought up an eerie story. So in 1980 and 1981, he talked to two journalists who released a book based on the interview. It was called The Only Living Witness, a book that the Burrs read in 1983. It took a few years, but in May 1986, Beverly wrote to Bundy, saying, "With an appeals likely to be refused, and soon there is nothing left for you in this world, there can still be everything good for you in the next. You have nothing more to lose in this world. Will you write to me regarding Ann Marie?" So, Bundy did respond. So, Bundy...
You just said Ann Marie.
I said Ann Marie.
Oh, Ann Marie, I'm sorry.
I said Ann Marie.
I'm sorry.
So, Bundy did respond.
Did he really?
Uh-huh. So, something to know about Bundy. On death row, he was very open because as he looked at it, he wasn't going to win any appeals, anything. He was going to be executed. He knew that. So, to him, he had really nothing left to hide.
No.
So he said, "Dear Beverly, thank you for your letter of May 30th. I can certainly understand you doing everything you can to find your daughter. Unfortunately, you have been misled by what can only be called rumors about me. The best thing I can do for you is to correct these rumors, these falsehoods. First and foremost, I do not know what happened to your daughter, Ann Marie. I had nothing to do with her disappearance. You said she disappeared August 31st, 1961. At the time, I was a normal 14-year-old boy. I did not wander the streets late at night. I did not steal cars. I had absolutely no desire to harm anyone. I was just an average kid. For your sake, you really must understand this. Again and finally, I did not abduct your daughter. I had nothing to do with her disappearance. If there is still something you wish to ask me about this, please don't hesitate to write again. God bless you and be with you. Peace, Ted." So, the story that caught the Burrs' attention was Bundy discussing his first victim. The murder of a girl in an orchard. What was in their neighborhood?
Orchard.
An orchard. Bundy later met Dr. Ronald Holmes, who was studying serial killers through a grant, where he told Holmes that he had stalked, strangled, and sexually mauled his first victim, an 8-year-old girl who mysteriously vanished from her Tacoma home 26 years ago. So this was not made public until this was made public the following year when Holmes presented this paper to a conference. Bundy also told Holmes that he had stashed the body of Ann Marie Burr in a muddy pit, possibly near the University of Puget Sound. People have discounted this account, but Holmes has remained adamant about this confession. And Burr's father later in an interview told Ann Rule that he believed he saw Bundy in a ditch on the University of Puget Sound campus the morning of his daughter's disappearance. So he ended up Ted Bundy repeated a similar sentiment to Dr. Dorothy Lewis. She was a Yale psychiatrist and researcher. Lewis was working with a pro bono attorney who was trying to get a new sentence for Bundy. He told her that when he was 12, 14, 15, in the summer, something happened, something I'm not sure what it was. I would fantasize about coming up to some girl sunbathing in the woods or something inconspicuous like that. I was beginning to get involved in what they would call erotic sexual activity.
Yes.
A portion of my personality was not fully. It had began to emerge by the time I realized how powerful it was. I was in big trouble. So, after corresponding with Bundy prior to his 1989 execution, Burr's parents publicly stated that based on circumstantial evidence, they believed that Ann may have been buried on the University of Puget Sound campus while it was under construction.
Huh.
So, Bundy was executed January 24th, 1989. The Burrs were locked in the radio, like everyone else, listening to the broadcast in hopes that he made any last-minute confessions. He did not.
Yeah.
Which, everyone knew that about Bundy. Bundy had a thing where he wanted to remain silent on the day he was executed.
Yes.
So, the investigation went completely cold a little bit later. That did not stop her mom. Beverly kept Ann's story alive, and the news was constantly covering it with frequent updates in the newspapers. This occurred on the 6th-month and each year's anniversary when the family adopted a baby girl, and when the family left the house on 14th Street behind. So, we'll get into that. So, in the mid-1990s, Beverly received a call from a psychiatrist in Tacoma. He explained that he had a patient claiming to be Ann. Beverly held slight hope as she baked an apple pie and invited the woman to her house. Years later, she admitted that she knew it wasn't Ann the minute she laid eyes on her. The woman did remember a few details like a canary. Apparently, I think Ann or someone in the family had a canary at one point. So Dawn and Beverly visited her another 6 times. It was 2 years later when Julie convinced them to take a DNA test to rule out the possibility. She was not Ann, but Beverly still kept photos of her in an album. So, they did in 2011, they did forensic testing of material evidence from the Burr crime scene, but it yielded insignificant intact DNA sequences for comparisons with Bundy's.
Yeah.
So there is that. So we're in 1999, 30 years after her disappearance. They finally held a memorial mass for her.
Yeah.
The newspaper highlighted the case once again and the possible connection to Bundy. At this time, Beverly was glad that she didn't know what happened to her daughter, concluding that she believes Ann knew the person. She didn't want to know how she died.
Yeah, I can kind of understand that.
So, our detectives, Strand and Zatkovich, worked the case for more than 5 years and spent another 30 years after retirement discussing the case, which is how they solved hundreds of their other crimes. Half of the case file was missing when Zatkovich went to get the file. Both were still trying to solve her disappearance when they died. Strand died in 1997 and Zatkovich in 2004. So her dad died in 2003 and her mom died in September 2008, almost 20 years after Bundy's execution. So this case does remain open with the Tacoma Police Department.
Wow.
So I agree. I think I agree with her dad. I think she really was Bundy's first victim.
I think so too. It sounds like it.
And it's like everyone, you can discuss it, you can do a lot of things. But one thing about Bundy is that Bundy didn't lie.
Yes.
He was a lot of things, but he prided himself on the fact that he wasn't a liar.
Yes. So why wouldn't he have said that, yes, I killed your daughter?
I don't know. Because he didn't show remorse. for anything.
He didn't show remorse or
except
nothing.
for the one, his girlfriend. Was it his girlfriend or his friend?
I think so.
That's the only time we really saw remorse. Maybe, but he never directly claimed the victims in front of the families.
No, he didn't.
I don't know if maybe he found a strand of human decency in his body, and he didn't want her mom to think about what could have potentially happened to her 8-year-old child.
Yeah, especially
knowing what his crimes were.
That he raped her,
sexually mauled her.
You know, would you really want to know that your child was that?
And my 8-year-old child? No.
Yeah. No.
Even my 20-year-old child.
No, you don't want to know that kind of stuff.
But what do you think?
I just think that it sounds like it was Bundy. That he saw a youth I don't understand why they didn't dig it up. I guess back in 1961, they really didn't dig stuff up like they do today.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I just never understood why they never went to the University of Puget Sound that day or the next day.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they didn't put a stop to all construction projects in the area.
Yeah. Well, because
they do it now.
Bundy was a neighbor, she might know him.
Well, that's what it sounds like. She did know him.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that he lived on the street. He claimed it was an 8-year-old. He claimed that they did it in an orchard, which is on that street.
Right. Yeah. And he buried him at
college.
So. But
it also could have just been him. It also could have just been him claiming something.
Yes.
But he didn't. He made it very clear that he wouldn't claim stuff that were not his.
I don't think he did. I mean, Bundy was even interviewed on multiple serial killers that
Ridgway's one of them, and
that they needed help.
Insights on.
He
was happy to discuss this.
Yes.
So it's just, I don't know in this case. I'm inclined to believe that she was his first victim.
Yes. And the fact that he was a normal 14-year-old, bullshit. I don't believe it.
Well, it shows that people who are serial killers, psychopaths, and all that, there's signs.
Yes, I agree.
There's signs.
I agree.
But, yeah, so...
Well, this is crazy. 1961?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you were right. I didn't know it.
I didn't know it.
Yeah.
I also didn't know Tacoma was considered the kidnap capital of the West Coast of the West.
Is it still?
I don't think it is.
Is it still considered that?
I don't think it is.
Okay. Okay. So that's the end of number 3.
Uh-huh. I want to hear your guys' opinions.
Yeah, definitely.
You guys think
especially the people that live in Tacoma and that we've insulted now.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Okay. But thank you for listening.
Let us know if you think she was Bundy's first victim.
Yes, definitely. That'd be interesting.
And we shall see you guys next week.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.